Oh, there it goes. Okay, good. We're live.
Go ahead.
Be nice to your heart, Jay. Your heart's not a piece of shit. Your heart has just been.
Do you remember that? Like at the beginning of the year, like I was in the hospital. Do you
Scared
know?
the shit out of me, dude. I had to talk to you. Did the Halter monitor? You wore that for like a month, didn't you?
Yeah, man. Yeah, and it's funny because like those things are not designed for training.
They're like, what the fuck is this? And you're like, oh, that. What
No,
time was that?
man, it's like you get like 12 leads all over your chest, like taped up to you, and then like the cords go to like this, this box, and they give you like a purse that you carry the thing on you, and it's just on you all the time. And it's like that's not designed for wrestling. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm asking them, I'm like, how am I supposed to train in this? And they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, when I train, like, how am I supposed to wear? And
they're like, you're not.
You just got out of the emergency room for like heart failure. You're not supposed to train. I was like, oh no, I'm training. I'm just asking. Like, I'm not asking you if I should. I'm saying, how do we
manage this?
Do this? And they're like, no, like you can't train with that. So what I did was, have you ever seen like a belly band? It's like a concealed carry holster.
Of course.
Yeah, right. So like I got a belly band for concealed carry, and that's what I put the heart rate. That's what I put the EKG machine inside the belly band, and then I put a rash guard on over that. So the rash guard kept things from getting at the leads, and then the belly band held the thing in place. So if I did all that, then I could train. So like,
And then, so, I mean, well, and first off, can you share this, Jay? Because I want your audience to be watching this live, especially. I just shared it on my personal page. Do you have like your phone or something that you can share it with?
What do you go, like Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on.
Yeah, some more people are joining us now, but I definitely more.
If I go to your thing,
either my Facebook page, Bow Wow Bill, or my personal page. I just shared it as well. Do you want me to tag you in it?
I see it.
Okay. Yeah, and if you guys are watching this, there's only a couple people watching now, but share away. The majority of people watch this after the fact. And I got a comment that I was interrupting with useless questions, so I'm going to save questions.
Wait, what do you mean? Just now you were interrupting?
No. On Nelson's thing, this guy messaged me and just let him know, hey man, you're interrupting. I don't mean anything by this. And I enjoy constructive criticism, and I agree with him. But sometimes there's like a lag. There's different things that happen. So I'll work on that. And yeah, I noticed it too. So I'll try not to interrupt Jay. So
I don't feel like you interrupt me a lot though, dude. We've talked a couple times and you've always been super polite. I've never felt interrupted.
There you go. Because I'm afraid of you, dude. Because just I pee every time I talk to Jay. No, just kidding.
It's weird. Everybody thinks everybody's rude, and I think people are generally super polite, dude. Like people are.
I wonder why.
It was super nice, man. I never have the like yelling at you and being like, rude to you. Like it never happens. I'm super polite. I think it's because I'm super polite.
You're a gentleman and a scholar.
That was stupid. That was my nickname when I was fighting.
What was the gentleman?
Gentleman, yeah. Somebody, like one of the promoters, nicknamed me like the gentleman. So it was like the gentleman, J Jack. It was stupid.
Dude, I love it when I watch somebody like there's this guy that MMA, and then the dude's falling and he pulled that punch right at the end, man. Like he was
nice.
That's the shit, dude. I don't like the stuff where people just, and that's what I tell people and try to convey with dog training, especially with men. I'm like, what's that?
Buying it back. Here we go. Okay.
Yeah. Bringing it back. But I tell people like the dog got it, dude. Like, especially with men that are trying to discipline a dog or something like that are over the top. And I tell them, man, imagine like you're in a bar and somebody like a big dude accused you of looking at your girlfriend or his girlfriend, and you didn't, but he's really wanting to cause a fight with you or something, and you really don't. And you're trying to convey to this guy, look, man, I get it. I'm good. But the guy just keeps coming at you, man. Like, how does that feel? Like it puts you to a point of crisis where you actually feel like you don't have a choice here.
No,
right?
we
What's
fight.
that?
We
Yeah,
fight.
yeah, and that's it, you know, and that's where I'm like,
Like I prefer not to. I mean, actually, that's not true. I prefer to fight, but like I know, like I've learned enough about the world to learn to get along in it, and like I know that my general, I know how to control my general urges and demeanor to get along best in this world. Like I'm not made for this. Like the world as it is, I'm not made for this. Like I was born so, like this is not where I belong. You know what I mean? Like I'm not made for this. Like the way everybody lives, like a 9 to 5 cubicle, and how do you do? And oh, pardon me, and like just not made for that. Like I'm supposed to be bloody. You know what I mean? Like I'm supposed to be like
do you
uh,
remember where that started? Do you remember, like, when you were a kid walking around the world and being looking around at people, like, knowing that, "Hey, why are they acting a little different than I am?" Or why do you know?
this is gonna sound really this is gonna sound really terrible.
Okay.
The issue is people that don't know me very well. I'm actually a really nice guy. I'm really polite. I'm super kind. I'm very gentle. Like I'm super nice to people. Like uh, I'm not like this Mongo meathead smash guy. There's like it's an interesting dichotomy because there's like a part of me that really enjoys fighting, like just really enjoys fighting, and I channel it into productive avenues. Like
Mm,
enjoy lifting weights and doing strength sports. I enjoy doing martial arts. I enjoy, wrestling, Brazilian jiu-jitsu and things like that. Like I enjoy uh, functionally acceptable avenues for those feelings to be found. You know what I mean? Like
to be channeled into,
to be
because
fulfilled and like feel like I'm not living disingenuously. Like I get to have all like, dude, I was covered in sweat and choking the fuck out of people 45 minutes ago. Do you know what I mean? Like that was my afternoon.
yeah,
So it's like I have acceptable places to put those feelings, and the rest of the time I'm left to be like super nice and very polite and very calm and collected. You know what I mean? I don't lose my temper. I say all that because it's like if somebody hears me discuss that one part of my psyche and my life, and you're left to think that is the totality of who I am, that would be a very not accurate picture of who I am as a complete person. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like your dog in drive is not the definition of who they are as a total being. Like
right.
the way they act with the tennis ball is not who they are 24/7. There's all these other manners that they present. There's all these other ways that they present.
Yeah.
And so in that avenue, I present a certain way for sure. You know what I mean? Anyway, the point was, have you ever seen the movie Highlander?
No, I need
What?
to, dude.
What? The movie, not this shitty series with the man ponytail, not that guy.
No,
Like,
dude, that's big. I don't know. I used to. I don't know if I can stomach it, but I will watch it, dude. For you, I will watch
so
it,
here's
and
the
I'll
deal.
report back to you.
The only reason it's such a cheesy, stupid, ridiculous 80s action movie. It's so bad. It's so bad. But have you ever had those things where you watch a movie and some, as dumb as it is, like some aspect of it really hits you and you're like, wow, you know what I mean? Like I watched a horror movie just the other day.
Uh-huh. That's a matrix for me.
I'm jumping all over in subject matter. I'm sorry. But like I watched a movie just the other day it was a horror movie. Have you seen this movie called Smile?
Uh-uh.
Dude, it's creepy. Super creepy.
Smile horror movie?
Super creepy. Ugh, like super creepy.
Okay.
And it's not even that crazy of a movie. It's not gory. It's not
Oh, it's
crazy.
like 2022.
It's like psychologically, it's good. It's a very good movie. But the cinematography and the manner of creepiness was so exactly like shit that I saw when I was a kid. Like when you're a little bitty kid and you have like your terrified pseudo hallucinations, like as you're a little kid, and you swear you see something in the closet, like that kind of like just not real psychology hallucinations, but like you're a little kid and you're freaking yourself out, right?
Mhm.
The shit that I would like it was like somebody recorded the shit that was in my head and made a movie out of it.
Bro, we got to watch this.
It freaked me out. So, dude, I'll get chill
Wait,
bumps.
hold on.
Mm.
How the heck did that happen?
Eh.
I think I got something. You got chill bumps? What are you gonna do?
Listen. I had straight up nightmares. Like Mandy, I woke us up at 3 a.m. screaming. Like woke myself up screaming out loud.
I'm gonna give you a trigger warning, bro.
Dude, I don't do that, but it's freaky. It's super freaky.
Whoa, bro, look at this.
Oh, right away. Yeah, it's super freaky.
Oh, look at the cinematography.
No, it's without getting into the plot, like the.
Oh my goodness, it's a therapist too. I know you're
therapist. Therapists make me.
Oh, bro, like even I could tell right now, it's creeping me out,
dude. You'll have to turn it off before it gets too far into it, so it's not like play this part, because this is where it gess wicked creepy.
Okay.
After this one part, you can just stop it because that's the entire movie, dude. We watch this. Nope. Right there, you're like, nope, that fucking.
Oh no, dude. Okay.
So anyway, it was just that freaky smile. Anyway.
Okay, watching this.
Every once in a while, totally jumping subjects. Every once in a while, you see something in a movie that, regardless of how dumb it is, it hits you, and you're like, "Oh, that movie is like crystallized." Some of the shit.
I haven't seen it. I haven't paid attention, dude. That's what happens, man. Is that these movies come on, and
I generally am not like a movie fanatic. I mean, I like watching movies, but I don't like go out and see new shit. I don't know why I saw this. Anyway, it's like. That movie was, it's like you see these movies and even though they're dumb, something about them will really hit you deeply. That was Highlander. As a kid,
okay,
I saw that movie, and in that movie, there's these immortals, and this is going to make me sound like an arrogant douchebag. There's these immortals, and they have to fight one another, and that's the tagline: is there can be only one, right? And they've been alive forever, and it's like they'll be in a bar, just having a good time dancing, and then all of a sudden, like, wait a minute, something's up, and they look across the bar and they see another one of those, and it's like immediately you're like, oh shit, one of us is here, and there can be only one of us, and then they have the major fight to the death, whatever. It's ridiculous, but that's what it felt like. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That's what there's a certain element to how that feels accurate to me, because like there's not that many people like me out there, you know what I mean? Like there's a bunch of us. You can go to the fight circuit and find a lot of us. You can like, we're out there, but it's like I can be in a grocery store and look across a sea of people and none of them, do you know what I mean? They're like, and then you see
one dude.
You see, and you're like, ooh, I think you're like me. And then both of you immediately are like, we should kill one another. We should totally do this.
It's kind of like the dog, dude.
I think you're like me, and we could just fucking do this. And what a great afternoon that would be, sir. Do you know what I mean?
And then checking back in with each other and be like, oh, yeah. That guy's like me.
Anybody that's like that is either in jail because they didn't learn how to navigate it, or you've learned where it goes. Like you've learned, like, those are the guys that are on the wrestling team. Those are the guys that are at the boxing club. Those are the guys that, you know, competitive powerlifters or do MMA or whatever, you know what I mean? Like those are the guys that have either you don't find a way to find a socially approved avenue for it to go down and you go to fucking prison, or you find that avenue and then you become productive, but it's because we found a place to put it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, transmutation.
It goes back to the approach that I have with dogs, since we got to try to tie it all back into dog stuff, right? Like it's the same thing. Like that's the same thing with the dogs. It's like the dogs that I like that haven't found a place to put it wind up being criminals. And the dogs that, like, the biggest part of the approach that I have is like, let's, just like me, like save my life. Like I was going to jail. I was down a fucking prison path. Like I was in baby Angola as a kid, like getting ready to fucking do real time. And it's like, until I found places to put it, it was like, I was going down a path that was going to be prison or dead for sure. And then having a place to put it became like, now I'm no longer a criminal. Like I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business owner. Like it's bananas that's a reality. But like, it's the same thing. I get a lot of these dogs that are like last chance, like they're monster dogs or whatever. But the truth is they're fucking performance dogs. Like you give them the right avenue, and now they're rock stars.
Absolutely, man. And
But
there's value to what they're doing, dude. It just doesn't transmute with human life. And like, dude, it reminds us that we're dealing with a different species. And I think that even in the same species, we have subspecies like you, right? That
sure.
And it's very valuable to have people like you, right? And that's where people like we need people that are enforcers. We need people to show where boundaries lie. We need not just people for that, but also people to teach others how to do that, right? And also, because you have a transmutation, you have an avenue where not just you, but other people like this. And I need to start working out again, man, because I notice a huge difference with my attitude around life when I am constantly working out, dude. Like, and it's almost, that's what I call it, a steam vent. Like, especially when I'm feeling that pressure within, you go blow it off, and with a big run or somewhere that you exert a lot of energy, and it's valuable, man. Like, I can sit and be calm, and so I get it. And I don't think that, like, I have a homie that's in prison that I talk to all the time, and guess what they're doing all the time?
They're working out.
Well, not just working out, but doing the shit that they're fighting. Like, he's like, bro, can you send me like 3 or 4 books? And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, I'm going in the hole. I got 15 days in the hole. And I was like, oh shit, what happened? He's like, don't worry about it, bro. It's all over a seat. Like, just a seat in prison. Like, this one seat at the corner of this table the dude sat at, and that was it, man. And now my buddy's in the hole. I'm sending him books to get him through the time, and that's just a fact of life for these people. Like, it's not.
Look, it's an interesting thing, right? Because this gets into a little bit, since we're tying stuff back to dogs all the time, this gets into an interesting thing about pack structure. And what you always hear about is like dominance and all this bullshit, right? Like, the whole dominance hierarchy kind of thing. And it's like, a lot of people will argue that it's real, and a lot of people will argue that it's not real. It's fucking totally real. It's just not necessary, right? Like, if you go to a prison, you're going to watch some fucking dominant hierarchy structures.
You better believe it.
100%. When they did those studies on wolf packs, like, this is in Grandin's book, Animals Make Us Human. If you listen, you read her book, Animals Make Us Human. Chapter 1 is about pack structure. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Chapter 2 is about pack structure. Chapter 1 is about neuroscience, but chapter 2 is about pack structure. And she talks about the difference between forced packs and familial packs. And when they studied originally these wolves, these wolf packs, it was these wolves that were not familial. They just crammed them together and went, let's see how this goes. And they watched how the dynamics played out. And in forced pack structures, there's a fucking lot of dominance hierarchy kind of stuff going on. In familial packs, that's not the case. In familial packs, it's much more altruistic and cooperative. There's a little bit of hierarchy, a little bit, of course, there's disputes happen, blah, 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 but it's not nearly as heavy and gross in the dominant structure. But it's not that the concept isn't real. It's why. In a forced pack, it's very dominant, and in a familial pack, it's not as dominant. And the way that I thought about this when I was a kid was, man, if you go to jail and there's a yard with 30 dudes on it, and it's like, these are 30 outlaw criminal motherfuckers, but we got stuck together. We're not family, like, we're stuck together, and there's a lot of dominance hierarchy going on. You go to the barbecue at the clubhouse and there's 30 criminal motherfuckers. Like, nobody there is a bitch. Like, there's a bunch of criminal dudes like hanging out, but it feels totally different. Nobody's like, I fucking you over the potatoes. You know what I mean? Like, we're hanging out and having a barbecue. I love you, brother. And hugs.
Yeah.
So it's
familial.
That's a familial pack, but it's not even like the difference in types of people. There's a whole bunch of gnarly fucks at the barbecue, and there's a whole bunch of gnarly fucks in jail. But it's like, there's a forced pack, which becomes very dominant and grimy. And then there's a familial pack, which has a totally different feel to it. Even though it's the same types of people, it's a totally different feel, and dogs are the same way. Unfortunately, most people, like almost all dog relationships, start as a forced pack. Very few people are breeding their own dogs and they live together as a family from birth. You know what I mean? Like you're getting a dog. They didn't have a choice. Like there's no like we chose one another. You know what I mean? Because like packs of wolves in a pack, you'll have crossover. That's why they're not all just totally genetically inbred.
Right.
Like there's some crossover. This dog will leave this pack and hook up with this, and this one. It's mostly familial, but there's some crossbreeding going on because there's some pack interplay, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, most dogs aren't getting to choose. Most people just get a dog and put it in their fucking house. And me and the 3 kids and the 2 dogs that we have, you have a forced pack now. You know
Dude,
what I
I'm
mean?
trying to think of what would it look like if we had like if we would just walk out in the world and see who frickin' bonds with us, I guess. Like I don't know. Like, would you say, like, in a third world country like India, we would have more familial situation because there's not the constraint of actual people deriving where these dogs go? It's just more of an organic process.
I've seen dogs out in the country that
Yeah,
like
yeah,
random stray dog runs up and people are like, oh, cool. And there's like, we get to know each other. And then that dog just kind of becomes the dog. Like that's just their dog. But it's like, there was no, I went to the shelter and got it. We
yeah.
just ended up.
Or well, I'll bring a dog here, man, and then he plays with this other, and I was like, dude, I would never in a million years think that those 2 dogs would be best fucking friends,
They
man.
chose each other.
They chose each other, and
If
there's
they
just something
if
that I
they
didn't see.
that's different than if you
Right.
like you motherfuckers play.
Yeah, totally. Like, I'm like, "What's going on over there?" I'm like, "Oh my god." Like, you guys and they've taken the time to build the rapport and the power and trust with each other, and, just like Jay was saying, Temple Grandin's book, "Humans Make Us" or "Animals Make Us Humans," I put a link in the
Yeah.
comments down below, so
That's what dude, that book is like I think the first 2 chapters of that book are like must. If I could make a list for people into dog training, like must read, that would be
okay.
required reading. You know, chapter 1 is talking about blue ribbon emotions and neuroscience and the emotions driving behavior and trying to understand that concept, which was hugely transformative to my work and my like not just my work with dogs, my work with people as well. Really important chapter for me. And then the second chapter is about pack structure, you know. So it's
Were
really
you
both those chapters I think are really important.
did you go to the IACP with Temple back
Nope.
in, like 2010, I think it was?
That was before I got involved, man. That was before I didn't start going around ICP until like 2014 or
Okay.
something like that.
It
2013.
was in, Hutto, Texas at the Triple Crown before, Star Mark bought it. It was Triple Crown Training Academy right outside of Austin, Texas,
Yeah.
and she was one of the special guest speakers, and I was there, and I actually spoke with her, and, we talked about how she sees the world, and I said, because she talks about seeing in pictures, viewing through pictures, and they did a MRI of her in their TED talk. I highly recommend that. I'll put a link down below. And I was talking to her about her MRI, and I said, "What did you think about the MRI results?" And because there's like an 8-lane highway going back to her visual cortex. And she told me, I don't know what to think about it, just like I don't really know what to think about these animals. I just observe how they act in the moment, and it makes sense that that would be how my brain is wired, because
Sure.
that's how I see the world.
Yeah.
And I was just like, awesome, Temple, great answer, man. And it's just very matter of fact. She's got autism, and there's just a way that we approach to communicate with people, dogs, other living creatures, that is a way that they communicate the best. And that's where it just kind of, you just see something in somebody else, you're like, I fucking love you. Or you see something in somebody else, be like, dude, I need to get out of this room now.
I do not like you.
I did not like you. I need to leave. I'm going to go ahead and extract myself, because you're making me feel the feeling that I don't trust myself. So I need to get the fuck out of here.
I think a lot of problems are caused. I think a lot of problems are caused because connections. I think people have lost skillful connection. Like they don't skillfully connect and they also don't skillfully disconnect. Do you know what I mean? It's like people will grab somebody and make them into like you're going to be my girlfriend or you're going to be my partner, you're going to be my best friend or you're my buddy at work or whatever. And it's like, man, you guys aren't really like that's not like it's not supposed to be, but you need somebody, so you just make it. You're like, they're just like, you see people all the time connecting with people that they really shouldn't be connecting with, but they need a connection, and they just choose somebody to fill that gap and make it that thing.
Yeah.
It
Well, and
leads
it's
to a
also
lot of
like you,
leads to a lot of problems, you
well,
know.
because you don't see the potential, or excuse me, you don't see the relationship as it is. You see the potential of it because you need this to work,
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like you're not actually relating to the person.
or to
You're
the situation as it is. You're
you're like,
seeing.
I'm gonna make this where I have a best friend shaped hole in my head that will fit. You hammer that in, or I have a wife shaped hole in my head, and I'm gonna fucking cram that thing in, or whatever, you know. And
Yeah.
it's like they're relating to people they really shouldn't be relating to, but they've just
Mm.
chosen them and are making it happen, and that's super bad. Anytime I've ever had a really bad relationship, it's been like, I'm trying to make you into a thing and you're not. And but that's my unskillful problem, because I am like cramming a square peg into a round hole, you know? Or it's the opposite, it's the disconnect. Somebody's like, we are no longer like, we shouldn't be relating, but I don't know how to, people are all
Extract myself.
scared to end things. They're scared to be responsible. They don't want to be guilty. They don't want to like lose. And it's like they wind up relating to somebody that they fucking shouldn't. You know what I mean? It's like people don't relate to the right people, and they don't disconnect from the wrong people, and they wind up in these really unskillful relationships. And I think it happens with dogs as well. You know what I mean? I think people insist that, like, they'll take a dog to a place that's got, I've seen it all the time. People will ask me, like, how do I get my dog to just accept and be friends with random stranger dogs? And you're like, why would you suppose that should, like, that's crazy. Like, should they murder them? No, they shouldn't murder them.
To tolerate them and exist in the same world with them,
But
but
like, why do you even think, you know why, dude? You know why? Since we're gonna rant about some shit,
tell me.
people infantilize dogs.
Yeah, you better believe it.
Like, and I don't mean with the honey bunny bunny, because I talk baby shit to my dogs too. I don't give a fuck. Like
I do too.
I anthropomorphize. I don't anthropomorphize, but I talk and I love. I'm like super, like, they are they are juvenile compared to us. Like they're like juvenile, but they're not infantile. Do you know?
Mm.
And it's like we kind of classify them as like infants. They can't be a fully developed person. Like they're never going to have the maturity and the thought process and the forethought and the timeline and the delayed gratification that an adult human can have. They're never going to have that kind of cognitive.
Because they're not humans.
Well, they're not, but they're just, it's like they don't have that. They're in that respect, an adult dog. What do they say? It's like the cognition,
3-year-old,
whatever. But
2-year-old,
it's
3-year-old.
three. I think. I mean, I don't know if it is three. I get the feeling they're more like juvenile, but like people think they're infants, right?
Mm.
You take an infant, a fucking baby, to a playground, and you can just put them down with four other babies. They're not going to have a. You know what I mean? Like they're just babies. Like they'll just.
Yeah, they're wandering towards each other and
That I am aware of. I've never raised a fuck baby, but like they don't have like
either.
that. I am aware of. They don't have like preference and like, you know what I
There you
mean? Cultural differences. They don't know you're a different color. I don't give a fuck. Whatever. You're just a baby. Like they're just
go.
baby. You take a kid that's 9 or 10 and take him to a playground, and like now we're gonna get into like there's different kinds of people that I like. There's different vibes of people that I like. There's different styles. There's, you know what I mean? And like they're going to start to have some preference about particular kinds of kids they're not into, other kinds of kids they're really into, hyper clappy kids they're like not so much, quiet cool kids they like, or the vice versa, or whatever, you know what I mean? But the preferences, the older they get in their autonomy and their adultness that we grant them, like adult autonomy, the more we give them like the right to have preference. But little babies, like babies, fucking give them a block of wood. They don't fucking,
Formative years, man. It's just
you know what I
basically
mean?
the format that's being written before all the programming of the life goes on to that. But the thing is that what I'm learning from, especially with um, what we do with the dogs with behavioral change, we have to look at within ourselves too. And if you haven't had a good association, especially or proper type of assimilation with the memories that you have as a child, it could lead to some issues, some baggage growing up. And same thing if you're not involved with good relationships, it leads to a toxic dynamic. And I see the toxic dynamic, and I mentioned this before, not just in human beings, but with dogs and humans. And I'm just like, why do you have this dog? Like, talk to me. Like, tell me what's going on here. And a lot of times they were going to kill him. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know what to tell you. Like, a lot of times, a lot of these people, and I keep thinking of this lady, dude, and it was a pit bull, and I had to give her back every bit of her money, dude, and I had to run out of there, man, because she got me like in a panic attack, and I'm just like, dude, I don't like. This is way above my pay grade. Like
What was
this,
it? What happened?
she was just mentally a wreck. Like, and the dog was suffering because of it, and it was a very bad situation that turned very chaotic very quickly. And I was just like, okay, I need to extrapolate myself from this. I am not the guy for you. And I will always just remember her because it was so profound. Like, literally, she's like, oh, thank God it's you. Like, what am I going to do? La, la, la. And I'm just like, let me,
Breathe.
yeah, let me stop you right there. I'm not that guy. Like, and the dog was fucking crazy, dude. Was super reactive, and obviously because of the chaotic. And I just had to, dude. I remember sitting in that car afterwards and just like gathering myself again and just be like, whoa, dude. Like, it made me thankful for my situation because like I could see her literally torturing herself, and I just send her love even now and hope that she did get the help that will bring her the healing that she needs. But yeah, man, it's crazy the dynamics that we find in the toxic dynamics that people are not
Am I
able
the
to
only
stop.
one? Is this happened to you too, or other dog trainers? If y'all are listening right now, I can't see anything. Uh, a lot, a lot of the job the job that we have, for most part, for me anyway, is not training dog. It's training people to train their dogs. Like, the dog's gonna get trained, but it doesn't matter if I walk in and go ba 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 and spin some plates. Look good. It's like, can you spin the fucking plates and live with this dog? So it's like it's mostly teaching them how to teach and train and relate and live with their dog, not training the dog without human interaction. And to that end, I wind up spending, I would say, a much larger portion of my time and effort is on the psychology of the human, not the dog.
Dude, you should see all the psychology stuff that I have. Like, I read psychology books nonstop,
Right.
personality disorders, just different, and it's fascinating to me because I work with behavior, right?
Yeah.
And I see situations where humans have really gotten up into the ditch with their own life, and I find it fascinating to see where that happened. And so I watched like the movies on TLC, the 600 Pound Life, and the Addicted, and Strange Addiction, and dude, it all this stuff.
I can't I can't watch a lot of shows like that. Like, it gets me really, because like
What's it do to you?
I came from really bad circumstances. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't become the things that I've become from being in a fucking nice
Disneyland.
little environment. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like, I didn't go to Disneyland until I was 30. You know what I mean? Like I just it was in a number of ways, it was very bad. Like, I could throw some stories that should make you cry. Like, it was a rough.
Well,
Everybody
the
had it
thing
rough, whatever.
is that
I ain't special. A ton of people had it rough, and a ton of people had it rougher than me. In no way is that it was special, but it's like, it just is what it is. It was a fucked up scenario. So like, when I watch like shows, like the addiction shows, like fucking Interventions and stuff like that, like, it gives me like bad, like I'm 12 and in that room again, and I'm like,
Wow.
do not like this feeling. Like I got out and did a lot of work to maintain my mental health, and like I'm set. Like I
But
can't watch the
it's
movie.
like going back to that mindset,
Have
dude.
you
And
ever, have you ever watched, since we're doing movie reviews, have you ever watched Requiem for a Dream?
oh yeah,
Can you watch that movie? Like you can
oh
watch
yeah,
that?
totally
Wow, dude.
interesting.
I will have to stand up and like I have to do like breath work exercises to stay like I can't. Oh,
Weird.
that movie makes
Interesting.
me angry. Like it's like I am that kid back in that house. Like
Isn't
it
that with
like
the bunny? The bunny.
really concentrate and do breathing to watch that. Like I can't just watch that movie cold like it's nothing. I have to like focus and concentrate. It's crazy.
Good to know.
Yeah, I don't
Just
play.
tell me all your weaknesses, Jay. Give them to me. No, just kidding.
I'm gonna give you all these movies. So if you ever put me in a basement where you
I'm
know
just gonna do my iPhone, dude. Stay away from me. Stay away from me. I got my.
what's funny is in part of the stuff that I did as a kid, trying to learn how to control my emotions, because like I lacked emotional control as a kid, like really
Absolutely.
hard, like really, really hard.
Makes sense.
Well, I mean, like, so I got diagnosed with intermittent explosive disorder. Like, I mean, I would legit black out and do terrible things and be like,
Okay.
oh no, like I wasn't just like, I don't remember. Like, I literally didn't. It was bad. Like, I thought I was the Hulk when I was 12 because I would just flip out.
Trauma response, man. These are alters. These are things that we do in our mind to protect ourselves, right? Because it's like I don't want to remember what I did.
I got obsessed at like 16, 17, 18 with like mental development and wanting to better myself and like heal that and turn that around. Like I was like, this, I'm trying to make a conscious choice to become a different thing and not just let this go the way it's going. And so I focused a lot on learning emotional and mental control. And one of the things, like, so my movies aren't my weaknesses, is I would literally pick disturbing movies and watch them for the. It's like you proof a dog, like they learn how to do their obedience, and then you do it past the scary thing, and they're like, "Woo," and they proof it. Like
Yeah,
I would watch movies that were fucking disturbing.
it makes sense.
Like here it is. I'm gonna watch this, and I am not gonna let the intrusive thoughts start, and I'm not gonna let the SNS activate, and I'm gonna just like,
And then all of a sudden it's 3 hours later and you're like, fuck. Like and everything's dead.
it was good. It was no, I mean, it was good. I got like stopping drinking and drugs was also quite helpful. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, intoxicated Jay was not a good thing, but yeah. So it's like that was one of the things was I was like trying to find a way to stimulate SNS so I can like figure out a way to control it. It was like those things would disturb me bad enough that I knew they would get a reaction and then I could work my way through that reaction.
Well, and there's a way to work through it. I'm gonna go to the comments here really quick, Jay, so we can go through them.
Where they are. Oh, you're on Facebook.
Yeah. Facebook. So if you guys are watching this, and a lot more people are watching this on, and dude, I'm on streaming on Twitter. So make sure to follow me on Twitter, you guys. Bow Wow Bill. And then a lot more people are watching this on YouTube.
Dude, I'm not on anything.
You are now.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Like, second. Yeah, I know. But and I mean, but I like the thing I like the Twitter thing. I like all this stuff, the shake-ups, the change, all that stuff.
Shake-ups.
Because Elon just bought Twitter, dude. So Elon's like shaking it up and brought a bunch of people back on. I'm all about free speech. And so there's Joe Hodge. Do you know Joe?
I know the name. I don't know if I've met him.
I think you've met him on Clubhouse. He's been on Clubhouse a lot. So Army Ranger, and then got in a car wreck after his training and became a dog trainer. One of my favorite people. Nice. And he's a great dude. I did a live stream with him, you guys, if you want to watch that. And if you guys are watching this, go ahead and share it. Let's get more people watching. We got Denise on. We got 30 people watching right now. I see from 3 different platforms. Thanks for doing this. Great way to end my workday. End it. It's only 1:30 here right now. This is great. And I got the links for that book. We got James from Down Under. What's up, brother?
Oh, nice.
Sparks from right down the road here. Hey, Johnny, Jay's coming to Washington, dude. I don't know if you're going, but I am going. We'll talk about that later. But I would love for you to come down. Maybe we can get an Airbnb or something together.
Get your eyes checked, man. If you're thinking I'm handsome, you got to get your.
Yeah, I'm not wearing my glasses right now. Hold on one second. Oh wait, never mind. I was wrong. Sorry. No.
Dude, I have to wear my glasses now. Like now, it's not even an option. Like I can't see shit.
Dude, I am. You know what? I am like staunchly refusing. I am just like I'm gonna like will my eyes to get better here. That's what I'm.
But I can't. Like
it doesn't work.
Like a couple years ago, I started wearing glasses all the time now. But a couple years ago, when I hadn't started, man, it was like I went and got an exam, and they were like, "What are you doing? Like you can't drive. Like stop. You need to wear." I was like, "I'll wear them when I read." They were like, "Dude, you can't see anything." I was like,
you're like, okay, and then you put them on. You're like, oh my god, you're. I didn't know you were.
I have like these are like what do you call them? Progressive. They're like trifocals, dude.
Wow,
like that's how
you
fucking
like this.
Dude, it's bad. I mean, you can't see the lines in them because they're like all smooth. But
do you
like,
take a piece of paper and you don't have them on? You're like,
oh, I can't. No. Honestly, the reason I started wearing my glasses all the time, I went through this resistance to wearing glasses so bad because I just fucking hate.
I'm fucking
I
there
wore
right
them
now.
when I was on the computer or reading, right?
Mm-hmm.
But only like stationary. Like I could still read menus in stores. I could still read the sides of a package in a grocery store. You know what I mean? Like I could get by, you know? And I'd made the text on my phone super huge and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like just doing old dude shit.
Grandpa shit.
But then it was like one time I went, I don't know where the fuck I was. I was out of the country somewhere. And I was like trying to get back in the country and had to fill some paperwork out. And got there, and I didn't have my glasses. My glasses were in my check bag because it's for like typing, reading a book. I don't need that shit day to day, dude. And I was like doing that shit where you're like this, and nothing I did. No, unable to read.
Like it's just all blurry, dude.
I got all scared. I'm like, oh no, I can't get back in the country. Like, what am I gonna do? And I'm like really stressing out, man. I was like, man, I can't. And they were like getting annoyed. And there's a huge line, and I'm like doing this shit.
They're like stupid American.
Dude, I was like, fuck, man. I actually need to start wearing glasses. And some girl like took it upon herself to help her like this grandfather figure out and came up and showed me that you can use your phone like a magnifying glass. So now I have my phone in front of the form and I'm doing this and I'm just like, dude, I'm fucking 150 years old. I'm like, this is bullshit.
You've arrived.
And then still was like, fuck glasses, right? You know what I did for like a year? I got a monocle. I totally did.
Did you shut the fuck up, dude? I was just saying that.
I can send you pictures, man. I got a fucking monocle.
Oh, dude, send me pictures.
There's this place online that makes prescription monocles. And I was like, my right eye is the worst, right? So I just had it on a chain on my wallet, right? And would pull it up, and then I could read menus and shit and then put it down. I was like,
oh, you need to keep the monocle, bro. Like, it's just a good look for you.
It's ridiculous. It's just, it's in my fastidiousness of not wearing glasses, I found the one thing dumber looking than not wearing glasses.
Did you ride the bicycle with the big front wheel and the little?
It was so dumb. And then I was just like, what am I doing? Like, I just gave up. And then
you like catch yourself in the mirror or something. You're like, and then the monocle just drops.
No.
And then you're just like,
I was just I'm just like, I did an eye exam and I was like gonna get an updated prescription for my monocle, and they were like, you have to wear glasses. Like legally, we're gonna put like, your eyesight's bad enough.
No, the monocle
license, like you need glasses.
I can't believe you got a monocle, bro. Like
I did for like 8 months. I rocked that thing, trying hard not to wear glasses. And then I gave up. I was like, fuck it, dude. I give up.
I'm not going to give up on these comments. Let's go back to the room. And I got people already messaging me, like, wanting to know about this seminar. Hey, if you guys want to go to Jay's seminar, like, it's almost sold out. So there's only a couple spots. So get on it.
Don't
no
ask
working spots.
Any questions?
Roger, I'll send a picture I'll send it up here. So Billy looks like coming to. Are you coming, Billy? I want to hang out with you. Hey, Megan. Just more training with the people. The dog. That's right. Absolutely. Because we're the same species and we're talking about interspecies communication, but we're the species that we're talking to. And that's where I tell people, like, don't believe a word I say. The dog's going to tell you if I'm full of crap or not, man. And that's it, man. At the end of the day, that's what we need to look at is our dogs. And same thing, if you want your dogs to be the proof of what you're doing here too, you know. Hello from Canada.
Nice.
There's a lot of working through human issues, help them train their dogs. You
Shoot.
better believe it. It's all psychology, man. And especially when you run into a situation like I did with that lady where it's like it's above my pay grade, and I was like, no, you need professional mental help. And the thing is that I'm doing the work on myself. Jay's done the work on himself. And who was it? I think it was Gabor Mate or Jordan Peterson, one of those guys. And he was talking about people that go away to war and that 20% come back home with PTSD, even though all of them experience the same stuff. But the ones that have the unresolved trauma tend to carry the PTSD as well, because it's like just adding on to the shit that you still need to freaking assimilate into your life by looking through it and feeling those feelings. Do you ever journal or anything? I mean, I journal because that's what I use when and I never in a million years would have thought that I'd be asking Jay Jack if he journals.
So why mental health is a big thing for me, right?
Dude, it is very important.
I journal. Journaling for me is not a daily thing. That's an acute thing.
Okay.
Like if I'm journaling, it's something very significant is ailing me, and I am really struggling to work through it. Like I will 100% journal, 100%, but it's not a day-to-day thing. Like most of it, like I meditate every day and shit like that. Like I have day-to-day practice for mental health and mental well-being, but journaling is not part of my daily maintenance type mental health stuff. But journaling is absolutely like, if I'm really struggling, and that happens super rarely now, just because, I mean, not that I'm fucking enlightened or anything, but I've done a lot of work on myself. And so like, I very rarely get to a point of acute emergency mental health kind of feelings. You know what I mean? That's really infrequent, really, really rare. But when I get into a zone like that, 100%, absolutely journal. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
What's weird is if you save your journals,
dude,
and going back and reading and running into one, just seeing what you were when you were younger, like seeing what
past self,
seeing like a different version of yourself. It's two things are striking. One, you're so different because it's just like, wow, how was I even in that headspace, bro? Like I can't even imagine being in the place where I wrote the things I wrote. Like it's crazy. But then it's so familiar because you can see a journal entry from an emotional thing I was dealing with in 2018 and then go back and find something from fucking 99 almost verbatim, maybe different subjects, different topics, but the root, you're like, wow, that was that I dealt with it enough to get past it, but I hadn't actually dealt with it because it came back.
Well, it's like, it's deep, dude. And sometimes there's remnants of this wound that are still, they're never going to go away. Like it's something that is going to be a part of your core personality because of when it happened to you as a child and what you've attached to it. But as you start to, and this is what, like, and I put down a link to the Sedona method, and where we talk about, and this is like a psychology book where they talk about going through, and it's not about always feeling good. Sometimes doing what's right doesn't always feel good, and doing what's, you know, just like, it's like we were talking about, people want rainbows all the time, man. And you know what? We have these feelings that feel like shit for a reason. And we need to sit with these feelings for a reason because they're there. But I think that when we sit through them and start to, like, not just pinpoint the trigger that made you have this feeling, but also where is it located in your body and what are you associating these feelings with as far as your memories that are, and that's what's good about having a pen and paper instead of this electronic devices, because electronic devices have so many apps that you can just click right out of and go back into a distraction. This doesn't have that. And so you can sit in that stream of consciousness and see what bubbles up. And that thing that's crazy is that I'll journal about some shit, and then these memories will pop up that I haven't thought about or something, and it's obviously tied to this trauma or whatever response that's happening that's making me feel like this. And then I sit with that emotion, but then I start to extrapolate, what have I done today that I'm proud of? I'm starting to flip the script a little bit to just kind of to deal with it, but also to let my subconscious kind of do its thing as well, and just let that time heal. And as we journal, I look at that as like looking at a wound, and the journaling is like flushing. It's not going to cure it right away, and in fact, it might not cure it for a very long time because it is a very deep wound. But as we flush it and as we clean it, and we start that healing process. And
there's like a, I don't even know how to say it. There's like a, you ever get like, you try to untie a knot? It's like a really mangled knot, and try to untie it.
That's
It's like,
my thing, dude. People hand me a leash and it's got like fucking 50 knots, bro.
dude,
And I hand it back. No. I take my key. That's the secret, is taking a key, wedging it in, and starting to loosen it, and then
what you do is you just burn it and start it.
throw it
So
in.
I'm trying to untie a knot, like, and you get this, like, you get fixated, and you try to, and you'll try different strategies, and it's like it doesn't feel like it's gonna get out of your head until you like, I untied it. It feels like that when I journal. If I'm in one of those headspaces, it feels like,
okay.
It feels like if I can say it, if I can say it, if I can write it the right way, I'll understand it. And once I understand it, it's like it not goes away, but it's like you can't digest something until you chew it up and swallow it. Like
It's assimilated. It's like okay.
Process it until I write it. And I'll write down what I'm feeling, and I'll write it. And it's like, it's not that it's not true. It's not accurate. There's more to it. That's not it. Yes, that's true. And I do have these feelings, but it's not like that didn't untie the knot. Like that didn't work. Like that wasn't it. And I'll write it again a different way. And I'll write about the same thing over and over again. And I'll write it out in different ways and talk about it in different ways until I'll say it in a way that when I read it, I go, fuck that. Like that.
You feel loosening. You feel loosening of the tension.
Not unties, and you're like, that was it.
Yeah.
Like I needed to say it that way to understand it. And now that I can understand it, now I can process it, because I have the skills and the tools to be able to process something that I can make sense of. But if I can't make sense of it, then it's like I can't process it. You know what I mean?
Well, and just like that's why
it feels like I'll write it and then go, no, and write it again. And so the journals look like an insane person, because it's like the same.
I don't even want to see your journals, bro.
Right? Over and over. And like, I'll do it in a different way. And I'll write, sometimes it'll be like bullet points, and sometimes it'll be like, I'll use an analogy and like, it's like this. And then sometimes I'll write about it directly, like first person, my experience. And it's like, I'm trying to fucking find a way. But then if I can say it the right way, it's like the knot goes away. And then I'm like, okay, now
it's a release.
That is truth, and that is reality. And I understand it. Now that I understand it, I can process it. Because now I know what I need to do. I know what I need to accept, or I know what I need to change, or what I need to let go of, or whatever, you know?
Yeah. And you process it from, from third person, first person, fucking that coffee cup on the table, like whatever it is, man. Like it, and then from my child self, from my adult self, from my, whatever, it's just like, and all these things kind of, come together to form. And then once you have that opinion, it's like, okay, cool, that looks good. But then you're like,
it's been like 55 minutes, and it says Bow Wow Bill and J Jack talk dogs. I don't think we talked about dogs at all.
We'll do a little bit. It's okay. It's okay. Dogs. What's your favorite dog? No, just kidding.
Oh, I'm getting
Dude, I haven't even got through the comments. Let me get through the comments here. Okay.
puppies, man. I'm getting puppies.
Are you really? Okay. Working through owners' mental hangups on point, Jay. Absolutely. I got a West Highland Terrier. IED.
What is that?
What's I don't know.
I got rid of that. I don't have that anymore.
Oh yeah, maybe that was it. I don't know. Okay, brother. Hey, speaking of Clubhouse, is Clubhouse still a thing? Yeah, I go on there every once in a while. I tagged Jay the other day. Hold on one second. Hey,
I was on Clubhouse really frequently for a while, and then like I can't remember what happened. There was like a few days where I couldn't talk. Like I had shit going on, and I couldn't talk, but I wanted to listen. But as soon as I signed on, fucking like invited to speak, and I would go, no, thank you. And it's like, well, maybe later, but 17 different people would do it. And I felt like a dick because I feel like I'm just going, yeah, I'm not going to talk to you. And I was like, I can't sign on. If I sign on, I got to be able to talk. But then I'm like, a lot of times I would just get on and listen and maybe jump in or whatever. But yeah, I felt really like a dick because I was like saying no to everybody. And I felt like a real piece of shit because I felt like I was just flipping everybody off. I needed an anonymous Clubhouse thing or something.
I know, because I'm like, anytime you come, I'm like, oh, Jay, here's Jay. Let's see what Jay thinks about this right here. Jay, here's what we're talking about. I'm like, all right, fuck you, Jay. Then don't come up here, dude. We don't know.
I can't do modern styles of communication, man. It throws me off. Like,
dude, I like that Clubhouse, though, man. And you're a good communicator.
It's cool. And if I have like time where I can talk, it's a kick-ass platform. I really enjoy the platform.
Well, because you have the option of just whooping everybody's ass, I think that communication is just like, because it's like people don't have that option. And I think the people that talk a big game, that's exactly what the fuck they're doing, where you don't need to talk anything. You could come up and just show it. But it's like, but now you have the wherewithal because you want to stay out of that fucking arena. You don't want that monster to come out of its cage. You need to have,
even in a fight. Like if you go watch any of my fights, I'm super relaxed. Like I'm super polite. I'm super relaxed. I'm a nice guy.
Gentleman.
Like I don't like. There's no like tough guy. None of that at all. Like for me, fighting at this point is no longer like an expression of like it's not a drive expression anymore. I mean, it is in the sense that I enjoy the sport and the intellectual game of fighting. I enjoy the activity of fighting, but not because it's like vomiting. Like when I lift, I'm definitely venting poison. When I lift, I'm like, you might catch me crying onto a bar because I am like, this is fucking coming up and god damn it. Like this is where the bad shit comes out. Like, I have the opposite of positive self-talk when I'm on a bar. Like people get freaked out because like most people are like, you can do this, lightweight, baby, and they talk all this positive. I got this. No, dude. I'm like, you piece of shit.
Put those clouds to the sky, Jay.
You're weak, and that's why nobody loves you. It's like that's where all the bad stuff gets blown out is on for me. I don't vent into fighting anymore. But the point of that was like communication. The interesting thing about being able to fight well is it makes you more relaxed. Like I'm a better communicator. I'm a nicer person. I'm so much more mellow and calm and cool. And I can debate with people without getting heated. And they can get heated and I don't care. Like it doesn't, you know what I mean? Because there's never that like kind of sympathetic nervous system activation of what if it goes, what if it turns into what if it spikes? I'm like, I'll just peel your skin off. And,
yeah, totally. I'll just neutralize it if I need to at any time.
Like we can fight and my heart rate still isn't going to go up, dude. I'm going to be chill. Like we can fight and like you know what I mean? If we need to do something, we can do something. But like, there's no reason to get upset. Like, why are we going to get upset? Even if we need to fight, like, why are we going to get upset?
Right. And why are you disrespectful? That's where people, and hold on, I'm going to take care of this dog. I'll be right back, Jason. I'm going to put you on solo.
Literally on solo. And I can't read the comments and I have no idea what's happening. Just going to stare at you motherfuckers for a minute. I can't like I can't see the comments, bro. I don't know what's happening. This is where shit gets really awkward. I'm just gonna sit and stare for a little bit. I'll make more coffee. My French press filled with decaf coffee that I made because I can't have caffeine anymore because I'm fucking 100 years old and my heart can't take any more stimulants. I had to stop drinking caffeine.
All right, I'm back. I recruited my beautiful wife to help me with the dog here. So
Nice.
Yeah, man. Well, and that's where people like I can tell the people that talk a big game, man, because and you could tell the people that are real deal versus the ones that are squawking a big game too, man. That's where when it's like shut up and show me your dog is the same thing too, dude, with the training world and all that stuff. It's like
I've never met. This is what it comes down to, like with fighting, with dog training, with proving a point, with all that shit, like the whole dominance theory. Like there's so many areas of life where I have this kind of metric of like the people that are talking, like, dude, lions don't puff up. Like lions just lay there with their fucking belly in the sun. Like, they don't give a fuck. Peacocks like peacocks puff up, man. You know what I mean? Like, weakness puffs up to convince you it's not weakness.
boom.
But like strength doesn't puff up. Strength doesn't like lions are fucking yawning in the sunshine. They don't give a fuck. Peacocks puff. You know what I mean? So when somebody's like, this is what okay, bro. Like they don't think they realize that to the experienced, they look like worse. They look worse. Like you look
clowns.
Like backstage at a fight, the dudes that are like fucking slapping themselves, like, yeah, motherfucker. Like all the experienced dudes are like, oh, honey, that's so sad. You're scared. Like, oh, that's terrible. Oh, somebody's got to help that poor kid. He's new. You know what I mean? Like, if you're that upset, like, how fucking, how into this are you?
Yeah.
And the thing, like, I'm such a badass and I'm so dominant. And I'll show that dog. Like the fucking people that are super amped about dominance and like showing their dog the alpha and being the fucking pack leader and shit like that. I'm like, dude, I've never seen a true leader be concerned about whether or not they were a leader.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Or what do they say? The opinion of lion, like they don't care what the
lions
what
don't concern themselves with the opinions of sheep.
That's
Which
right.
again, I understand how shitty that sounds because the second somebody shares that meme, I'm almost always like, "I fuck that guy." that for sure is one of the memes that sheep people wearing lion suits share to talk about. Me too, I'm a lion. And you're like, you're really not, bro. But like, I don't know, man. But it's a true statement. It's like it's a true statement. It's just really played out. Like, there's a lot of people that, in their haste to position themselves as a strong leader, dominant figure, like they tell everybody that they're not. You know what I mean? Like
by their actions.
Dudes are fucking chill, man. The most badass animals are fucking chill. The most badass dog trainers are like, yeah, I've got some experience. Like they're
chill.
They're cool, man. They're not like, you listen to me, you respect me. You're like, no, man, they'll just walk on the field with a dog and blow your fucking mind. And you're like, oh shit.
Well, you'll see a different type of connection too, man. And that's it. And that's where, like, even when I connect with my dogs,
people are writing me.
I know, dude. I got them here. Gina
writing me like, oh my god, a monocle. How did you not know how to
Please, dude, you better fucking take a picture of you with the monocle, bro.
If you missed it, if you weren't around for the monocle, then you don't get to see it. Katie, I'll do a private monocle showing for you. I'll do a private one. I'll put it on. It was special. I'll wear it.
Dude, go get it right now, please.
Oh, I don't even know where it is.
Okay. All right, let's go through Clubhouse, social media. There we go. Guys are legends. Love you, dude. You're a legend too. Dude, James has a fucking beard that has gone epic. Don't have my glasses on.
Dude, I can't deal with beards.
Is there a dog training subject? We'll get there someday.
I can't.
You can't deal with beards, dude. I remember when you told me about that damn beard, your dad grabbing that dude by his beard and beating the shit out of him. I'm just like, all right, I'm staying fucking
Dude.
arm's length and plus away from J-Jack.
That was the thing that I remember as one of my early memories of my dad was grabbing that kid by the facial hair, picking, and he would just, dude, he would grab their fucking beard, pick it up, and he would just punch him in the throat. And it was,
dude,
because it's like there's a certain sound. I don't know if you've ever, people like to go throat punch you, like throat punch is kind of a little word people like to throw around, but I don't know if you've ever done it, but it's got a real particular sound. And it's like, it's got a real, like, it sounds like a wet towel getting smacked against a wall, and then you hear an immediate like gag, like just look, it's so
it's like a yoga ball getting popped.
right? And he would just go flap, 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 and like guys would start puking into the air, and he just
oh my god, dude.
I've never
yeah, you can't have something you grab onto.
I had a mohawk when I was like 14, like 12 to like 14, 15 on a mohawk, and I would shave my head and then grow it back, and shave my head and grow it back. And then like I never connected it because I never saw my dad grab head hair. I always saw him grab facial hair. So I was never traumatized by the head hair thing. And I got in a fight once and man could not get the guy off my hair. He grabbed my fucking hair.
Once it's locked in, man.
Oh, and
like the leash.
Infuriating. And I haven't had hair ever since. Dude. I'm smooth, top to bottom. I'm just smooth. You ain't grabbing shit. Fuck you. Nothing. No.
Well, and to bring this back to the dogs, one of my mentors said that if you have control of the head, you have control of the dog.
Yes. I mean, that's a true statement in all animals. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Like that's how you hold a snake. That's how you hold, like, that's how you put a cow on the ground. You know what I mean? Like that's just, yeah, that's, you know, yeah, of course. Head control, part of fighting.
JD Von Bear. Do you know JD? He's got a bunch of Roddies down in Oklahoma.
Oh yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah. There's Megan again. Here, let's go through them again. Yes, I haven't even got even through probably a quarter of them. Yes, I'll have 4 dogs, 4-year-old dog. Oh, cool. Awesome. I look forward to hanging with you, Billy. Where is the seminar? In Vancouver, Washington is the seminar, but you got so many others like all over the place, man. So
dude, I literally don't know where I am or what's happening.
I know you're like when I'm like this day. You're like, okay, cool.
You're like, hey man, you're coming to Washington. I'm like, I don't fucking know. And you're like, yeah, you are. It's in 2 weeks. I was like, oh sweet, I'll see you there.
I didn't know either, bro, and I had to like hop on it, bro, and get up.
I literally go to the fucking airport like a child with my passport
and your phone that you know.
Oh, I'll get a thing that goes boop, go to the airport. And I'm like, okay. And it's
like, okay.
It specifies now which airport, because there's been a couple times where like you booked me out of Boston and I drove to Portland and I tried to sign in and it's like it's not recognizing my confirmation number. And I go to the thing and I'm like, hey man, I have a flight in like an hour.
They're like,
and they're like,
no, you don't.
I'm like, sure. And they go, sir, that flight's out of Boston. I'm like, I'm about to drive way too fast. Watch this. Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, I'm so fucking unorganized. That's one thing I never successfully conquered in life is organizational skills and like adult tasking. Like I've got good emotional control and I have good skills in the avenues of life that I choose to live. But like,
I think that's the more pressing. I think that's the important thing is you have control of your emotional than being organized. Let the devices do that for us.
Learn how to do adult stuff, you know?
Yeah, like Gina from
when Mandy met me, I was living in a closet and had all my money like stuck under the mattress or something. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, I'm a criminal. It's like fighting's illegal.
I know, dude.
Like, fighting's illegal. It's like
my homie. I have a friend of mine that he was carrying around $20,000 cash in a grocery bag, dude. I'm just like, it's just what he does.
In 2004 or 5, yeah, around 2000, they're like, hey Jay, guess what? You're not a criminal anymore. You're an athlete. You're a professional athlete. You're like, a what? You're an entrepreneur. I'm like, what is that? You know, Mandy met me and she was like, She gets a bank account. She's like, we should share. We should put our money together because we've been living, you know. And I'm like, yeah, it's all in the bag.
Yeah, go ahead. It's back there.
And
Grab what you need, you know, just
she's like, if we get married, we'll have to file jointly. I'm like, file what? She's like, taxes. I'm like, who the fuck are you telling about money? No, dude. Like, I can't report anything. Everything I make is from shit that's illegal. I can't.
Dude, the IRS don't care. They're like, yeah, whatever, ill-gotten gains.
They do now, but I'll say this. Mandy, ever since she met me, was like, okay, we pay taxes. Like, she does it. I don't do it. She does it.
Thank God for the women of our life.
She takes care of it. Because she's like, oh, we're filing taxes. I'm like, if you want to, go for it. But
yeah, have at it.
I'm 30. I'm not changing now, dude. Fuck that. So
Gina, she met you, I believe, down in California with her dog, Double Down Dog Training. She's shadowed here a few times before. I started journaling about my sessions with dogs, how I feel before, after, what my goals are for the session. That's Tyler Mutos.
Oh, nice.
Tyler. It's totally changed how I do approach. It makes sense, man. It makes sense. Cool. And it's a kind of a check-in with you too. Like, where am I at? Oh, we got a bunch of comments from Christopher Upton. What's up, Christopher? It's hard to get your head around it if you don't let it bother you. Okay. Open that box in your head, put it in the box, and put a lid on it.
I am a master of compartmentalizing. I still have to go back and deal with it, but like, absolutely. I'm really good at putting my head down and digging, and like, we'll talk about this.
Call Jay out. He can't see our comments.
Dude, he called out all you want. So fun.
Stoic strength. That's right. There's a lot to be, you know what? These dogs are fucking stoic. And there's a lot of value, especially as men, that we can learn about being in control of our
specificity.
Come on. Be in control with our emotions.
Don't start with the specificity, bro. Like, it's not.
Let's just calm.
It's not a man thing.
We need a hug. As men, we need to cry together. I need to come here, Jay. Bring it in. No, just kidding.
I'm not talking about not hugging. Of course, we need hugs. Of course, like everybody needs
men and women. Okay,
but
I'm sorry.
Anything. Like, it's nonsense, dude. Gender is such a fucking, people cling to that shit like so desperately. It's ridiculous. It's like it's a clownish cartoon. Like, what people think of as feminine is like this fucking Roger Rabbit. Who's the wife, the rabbit in the
Jessica?
Dude, like, it's like that. Like, that's what feminine is, and masculine is some fucking, like, Jordan Peterson drew a cartoon of his dick with a cape or something. It's just it's fucking ridiculous, dude. It's nonsense. People, like, yeah, there's masculine and there's feminine, and it's like a little different, but it's there's this cartoonish extreme of what people are calling one and the other, and they're both ridiculous. They're both absolutely silly. Like, dude, I have a fucking Etsy store. I bead and shit. I fucking, you know what I mean? Like, I cry when I watch movies. Like, I'm, between the two of us, Mandy and me, I'm 100% the more feminine energy than she is. Like, absolutely. She's wild. Absolutely more masculine than me. Like, as far as our energies generally present, you know?
Well, and same thing with my wife and I. Like, she has a lot of characteristics that they're way more masculine than me, right? And it's wild. You know, what's up, Derek?
I get so people are, I get so annoyed at that whole, like, I don't know who's doing it. Somebody invited me to do a podcast. I don't know who it is because Mandy talked to him, not me. And she's like, they want to talk to you about like mental health and masculinity. I was like, you better warn them. You better warn them, because if they just glance over my page and see like ex-pro fighter that works with mostly aggressive pit bulls and he's got a bunch of tattoos and shit, they might think I'm going to come on and go, man, shit. I'm not, dude. I'm not at all. Like, I'm not at all. I do not identify with the hyper masculine bullshit. Like,
dude, I am a big fan of romantic comedies myself, dude. So there you
go. I cook and I bead.
Do you really bead?
Dude, look, like literally right here. I'm sitting at my craft table. Like, this is a mala bead this is like,
bro, I fucking need one. Make me one, bro. I would love to purchase
this. Like, I can show you. I have like a collection of fucking comboloy that I made. Like,
I want 108 bead with a little mala.
On the wall. See all those comboloy hanging on the thing?
Like, yeah, man.
Yeah, man. I made all those. I I'm a staunch violent atheist, but I have this thing about making prayer beads from different cultures.
Okay.
Don't know where that came from, but I'm like, I like it and I do it and it helps the murder go away. So
As long as it helps the murder go away. Kimberly says, "Preach, Jay."
all right.
They think I'm angry, manly too. Yeah.
Really? It's such a bummer, man, because it's like now we're getting all crazy. I don't feel at all like the presentation that I have. It's not inaccurate and it's not inauthentic. I am, in one respect, I am this, you know, fucking masculine, if you want to put it on it. You know what I mean? Like, man, I lift weights and I work with rowdy dogs and I fucking choke the shit out of people for money, and like I enjoy fighting, and like I listen to hard music, and like I fucking slam weights around, and it's like I get it, and that's real, and that is authentic, and that is a portion of who I am or whatever. But man, I don't identify in any way with masculine culture at all. Like I feel very outside of men. Like I don't feel like the whole, butt slap and talk about football and like fucking ogle women, and like I just don't feel in any way connected to masculine culture, you know? But the problem is on the outside, it's easy to mistake me. It's easy to look at me from the outside and go, oh, that is a hyper masculine Nazi. I wear a flight jacket, I'm covered in tattoos, I have no hair. People are like, oh, we get it. I see you. I know what you are. And you're like, not at all, dude. Not at all. You know what I mean? Like,
Dude, you're the guy that like I want, and I guess it's from Clubhouse too. But remember when I really got your help that one day on communicating with that Greta girl, and just like whenever you pop in, man, I'm always like, what would Jay perceive this as? What would Jay? I want to get your
we gotta
take
get a
on things.
bracelet that says like that. We've made jokes about this. We had some shirts that said this one time, like WWJJD. Like I've had that. We've had that made before.
Well, because you've helped me, man, and just like when and I put the scenario to you. I'm trying to get this picture out here too, where I was like telling you what was happening, and what had happened was I'll bring up a specific scenario where this lady was. I was talking about crate training a dog, and I was talking about locking the door and putting some treats in that crate, and just kind of to switch the opinion of this dog of like, oh, there's something good in here. There's something that I can associate this with. And I said, I want you to make that frustration build. I want that dog to walk around there, get a little frustrated, open up that crate in the structure where the dog can go in there. And this lady came up, and she came on pretty hot onto the stage, and she was like, why would you ever want to frustrate a dog? And she was very upset. And the way that she came off with me, like it just kind of rubbed me off, and probably rubbed me the wrong way. Rubbed me the wrong way. And we had a little argument, and she ended up getting kicked off the stage, and then she left the room. And it was something that I was like, man, this didn't have to happen like this. I was like, how can we, what could we have done better? And then you came in the room, and I'm like, Jay, dude, I need your opinion on this. Here's what happened.
I don't remember any of this, by the way. This is the tough part about my getting punched in the head for money for 3 decades is like,
well,
these conversations, people tell me this shit all the time, and I'm like, this is like hearing it for the first fucking time.
Well, and then you're like, so first and foremost, I want to find out what the frustration means to her. And so I would ask her, if you were a director in a movie and you were casting a scene that required somebody to be frustrated, explain this to me. Right. And so then that was huge, dude. And so where they might explain like a bloody murder scene, and you're talking about handing them a Rubik's Cube, right? And so we kind of put into a situational awareness what exactly we're talking about, and being precise with our terms and terminology.
Well, I mean, it's a part of the thing is like there's a certain amount of empathy that goes into even debate, even if we're gonna argue, as in debate, not argue like, but like we're gonna be on opposing positions and we're gonna negotiate we're gonna negotiate like this debate, a topic, right? Because debate doesn't have to be vitriol. It's just we're on opposite sides, right? But part of the thing that you have to do when you're having a conversation, especially debate, is go like, what? Don't just get hung up on the word. Like, what is their perspective? I need to have a certain amount of empathy and go like, what? When you have the picture bubble in your head, what the fuck are you seeing?
Yes.
It's very difficult when somebody is seeing a bubble in their head, and to them that bubble is fucked up and wrong, and you're going, that's not wrong. They're like, then we're, it's like if I was trying to talk to a pedophile and they were like, oh yeah, it's totally cool, kids are on the table, and you're like out of your, like, I can't even have this discussion with you because we're like
Totally
not,
different wavelengths, man.
you know what I'm saying?
Totally
Like,
different.
I'm like, I see your position and you need to eat a bullet.
Yeah, or I needed to,
Unfortunately,
I need
but
to
it's,
just
but the idea is like, if you're on such diametrically opposed that we can't talk, we can't have that fucking discussion because we're just
the gap is too big. The gap is too
fundamentally
big. I can't
morally, we
fucking
just
hear you.
can't even talk. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so when you go, what you're thinking is wrong, frustration's not wrong. If what they're picturing as frustration to them is something fucked up, like if she described to you that scene, and this, I don't remember your situation, but I've used this analogy a million times. If she described the scene in the movie, like if I say describe a scene in a movie where you're thinking defines frustration, like tell me what that looks like. Is it, oh man, I'm having a hard time finding where that last puzzle piece goes? Or is it like hysterical crying and pulling your hair out because you can't figure out the right answer? Like which one, where are we at in
On
your
the
head?
spectrum, right?
When you hear frustrate, what are you thinking? What is the picture you see in your head when you hear that word? Because if she describes to you that like clawing at your skin, fucking, I can't make the bugs go away, you're like, that is actually really fucked up. And I would never, ever
Never.
to do that to a dog, ever. So, like, she's actually not wrong. She's not wrong. Like, it would, if that is the definition of frustrate to you, then you are 100% correct. You would never want to tolerate frustrating a dog. What we could then say was like, look, when I was saying frustration, I meant more of there's the last two pieces in a puzzle and you're certain that they go, but you're kind of, oh, and it's like, ooh, you know, you're playing a game like Taboo, the game, trying to come up with the right word to say, and the timer goes boop, boop. And you're like, oh no, I can't think of the right word. That's a totally enjoyable experience. That's what I was thinking when I said frustrate. I was thinking that the last answer on the game as the buzzer's running out, not pulling your skin off because you can't find the right answer. Do you know what I'm saying? And so like we need to come up with a different word, because if the picture bubble in your head is terrible and wrong, and I agree with you, we're not in disagreement. We're using words that don't match, but we're not, honestly, we're not in disagreement. Because if we can find where we agree, we can talk.
Well, and you can see where
we can't talk.
you can see the weight lift when you start to be like, no, I'm not I'm not there. Like that's fucked up. Like what you're talking about, you're absolutely correct. I would never, ever, ever want to do this to a dog.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
But the frustration that we're talking about, especially with the game with Taboo, builds creativity. Right. And that's what I'm saying, that the frustration that I want with this dog is like, how do I do this? How do I, like, I want to keep that where it's light, but it's also, there's a degree of toughness that we're working on. And once the dog has the wherewithal to realize that they have the resources within themselves by being creative and thinking kind of like, okay, cool, like I'm frustrated, how do I do this? Instead of shutting down, it actually motivates them to think even more, right? And
like that phrase Ivan says, like, teach your dog to be somebody. Like when they can overcome something and they're like, man, I did it, and you get a sense of accomplishment and you get this like sense of being something and being capable, like that's an amazing feeling.
Yeah,
that's an amazing feeling, right?
For people too, man. For me,
for everybody, like all,
know,
that's just that's a staple of self-esteem in all beings. Like that's how self-esteem is built. You know, self-efficacy is how self-esteem is built. That's the building block of self-esteem is self-efficacy. So it's like that's a wonderful idea. But the problem is when you're talking, it's like if I'm speaking to a person that speaks French and I say the word that I think means wonderful and it means fucking horrible, and they start to go like, we're starting to have a weird vibe. You know, like I think I'm saying thank you very much, but I'm going, oh, fuck yourself. And they keep getting offended. And I'm like, why are you getting offended? Of course, man, I'm saying a word that to you means fuck you. So it's like when we think of the word in the balanced dog training, people that do play and shit like that, when they'll say, I'll use a little frustration, usually what they're talking about, what they usually mean is anticipatory frustration, like shit, oh, the word's on the tip of my tongue and I just can't, I gotta, like that kind of like good feeling.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's building up. It's like we're
You
accomplishing. I'm not giving up. I'm not backing up. I'm gonna.
when the timer goes, and you're like, shit, I didn't figure
And you laugh.
try it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like that's what we're thinking of. But to that woman, we were using the word that in her language means horror show. And it's like, man, of course. But if you don't fix that, you can't have a discussion because you're going to be telling her the picture that you see in your head, there's nothing wrong with that picture. And she's like, we are diametrically opposed because you're out of your fucking mind. Because you're telling me a dog pulling its hair out and crying is totally fine. Fuck you.
Well, not only that, but then they want to be the hero savior complex that comes in and fucking teaches everybody about the situation where it's like, dude, if we just started from the right freaking foundation of terminology and realize where we're at and know that there's wobbly terms in the language that means something completely different to me. Like if I told you positive, like that means something completely different to somebody that's in S&M and bondage and shit, dude. Like if they tied up and fucking get beat up and stuff, like to them, that's a very positive experience. To me, that's a fucking nightmare, bro.
What? I was like, no, positive means positive in S&M culture as well, dude. In kink,
well, it means, but the act of what's positive to them,
the act that you define as positive, may be different.
It's a fucking nightmare to me, bro.
Like you were like, it means something different. I'm like, no, it doesn't. Like, what are you talking about? If somebody goes, that was a very negative experience, they're not like, yeah, do it again. Like
right.
They still have preferences. Do you know what I
mean? Right. And that's where we need to be defined of like, where are we at right here? And that's where Jay was talking about, like, where the spectrum of like the puzzle piece or murder show, right? And the same thing, you know, is
that's the part of any discussion, especially when you're worried. If you make an assumption that we're all on the same page, we define terms less. When I'm in a group of people that I assume think relatively similar shit to me, I can just say words, you know what I mean? You know, fuck that shit. And they know I'm not meaning it like in a bad way. They know I mean in a loving way. You know what I mean? You tell your best friend, he's a piece of shit. That old son of a bitch. Like we all know each other. I can say these things and have pretty good faith that you're going to get what I mean by that. Yeah. But if you're in a conversation with somebody that you're either not sure that we're using the same terms or you're sure we're not, like the first step is in finding commonality and first figure out their perspective, because if I understand your perspective, I can anticipate a lot of the things that you're going to say, and I can overcome objections before they formulate by not wording it in a way that's going to trip you out based on what I know of your perspective. You know what I mean? And then if we get into a hang up, when I see a hang up, my assumption is that we're not diametrically opposed morally. My assumption is that we're basically in the same headspace. We just got to figure out, you know? And so like, I'm going to have to go, well, now that we're butting heads, let's first, before we continue to butt, let's first figure out, are we butting heads over definition or, you know, morality? Because most of the time it's a definition issue and not a morality issue. And once we can get definitions down, then we're like, now we're on the same page. And even if we wind up being on opposite pages, like they're just, I refuse to use X and your ethics say X is okay and your ethics say X is not okay, and we're opposed, at least they came away from the conversation knowing that you were respectful enough to try to figure out the terms and not just fight.
Yeah. You know? And the thing that you're opposed on isn't the whole of the relationship. It's like this is just one thing that we are opposed on, where we do agree on a very large chunk of this philosophy. It's just this one little thing
But it
that
might
we
be
might
like,
disagree on.
it might be that you are opposed on something that is so fundamentally moral that we are not good. But we can't know that until we figure it out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if when we go, we butt heads, it's like, first thing is, let's quickly just check. Because,
Assume,
like,
right?
quickly, like when it's fuck you, dude, when somebody's like, whoa, 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 fuck you. And you're like, well, hang on. Like, how do we get here? I said we were going well. I said this, you had that response. So let's investigate. What do you think I meant when I said that? And then they'll go, I think this. And you're like, okay, that is not at all what I meant. I need you to help me find a way to communicate more clearly. Not I need a way for you to understand because you're fucking stupid. Like, I need, what do you want me to say? Like, okay. So when I said the word frustrate, this is the way that this is where you went when I said frustrate. So what the picture I'm thinking of is this: we're playing a game. There's a puzzle, da 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 da. And how would you describe that? And they would go, joyful anticipation. And I go, okay, cool, no problem. Now that I know
Joyful anticipation.
now that I know how to say thank you very much in French, I will not continue. You ever hear that? I don't know what country it is, but somebody tells you, like, be careful when you do this. It's not hitchhiking.
Oh, Iran. Yeah. Iran.
I have no
Persian,
idea if it's even true, but I've heard that shit, right?
yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah, and everybody chops your head off. You're like,
dude, I did that. It's a Farsi thing, and I was at and
really?
everybody was dancing, and they snap with their fingers like this too. So, and then I finally got it where I could snap. Like, I don't know if you can.
Yeah.
But then I was like, yes, I finally got it, and I'm looking around, and everybody's looking at me like,
what?
oh, well, like this is what I was. I was like, yes, I finally got it, and they're just like,
Wow.
and I'm like, oh shit. And I was
Yeah,
like, it would have been better if I went like, yes, I finally got it.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like, that's an unintentional thing. Once I can go, tell me the word you would use to describe the scene I just laid out, and they would say joyful expectation. And I could go, awesome, cool. Now let me rewind. And I would say, what I want to do is put the food in the kennel and da 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 da, and then have my dog experience a little joyful anticipation as they try to, and then they go, oh yeah, that I don't have a problem with. And I'm like, high five. Now, you know what I mean? Like, cool, me neither. But then we can find out when they go, absolutely not. Like, I would never give my child a puzzle because it might elicit even the mild, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't even call a puzzle joyful anticipation. I would be like, no, that's horrifying. Then I'm like, oh, we are in fact in opposition about basic fundamental morality. And so we can't continue to have this. This is going to be a fruitless, we're not going to be able to navigate this because we are diametrically opposed. So there's no point in having this conversation. So let's just good day to you.
Well, like that reminds me of that lady, that mentally disturbed lady that I worked with, man. Like once I walked in there and like, there's no way. Good day to you. Like, here's your money back, everything, and it's like, sometimes you have those realizations. And do you know, whatever I think of assume, I'm going to show this.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Right. Ask you me. Like, don't assume because that makes an ass out of you. And look at that freaking cup, Jaxie. That's hilarious. That's awesome. But that's anytime I see assume, this is what goes into my head, you guys. So don't assume, ask the questions. And then the efficacy, like I just efficacy means the ability to produce a desired or intended result. Yeah. That's efficacy.
And there was a really meaningful book to me, like Life. It's not dogs, but it's life. And it's out of print now, but it's called Power Therapy. It's by Dr. Michael Asquick or something like that. Anyway, you can look it up. It's out of print. It's hard to find. And like all really interesting books that were written a long time ago, it's like broken clocks are right twice a day. You know what I mean? There's a lot of really good information in that book, but
what's it called again?
Power Therapy. Unfortunately, it's from an evolutionary psychology perspective. And because of that, it gets way heavy into gender role bullshit, like way too far. So I'm like, if I could just take out all the bits where they're like, man, I'd be like, all right, like, women this and men this. It's like, if I could get them past their gender bias, the rest of the book is fucking great. Like fucking great. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of books like that. Like I love a lot of shit Nietzsche wrote, but then he's got a lot of weird misogynist shit going on. You got to kind of disregard that stuff and like look, take the stuff that's good and like, ooh, that was
the rest.
yeah.
Leave the rest. Yeah, take the pearls and let me see here.
He said, take what is useful, disregard what is not, and add what is uniquely your own. So like that's an approach I've had since I was a kid. So, but yeah,
like Nietzsche says, stare into the abyss, and it's in the abyss will stare back into you.
He said a lot of really good shit. He had a few real dumpers, but he said a lot of really good shit.
What did he say? God is dead, and we will never ever scrub the blood stains away, or something.
But there was a whole book. There was the Antichrist was one of his books, and it was very, very good. But like, if you're not an atheist, you're not going to appreciate that book. Like he was very anti-religious, right?
Yeah.
The book from him though was Twilight of the Idols,
okay,
or referred to as sometimes How to Philosophize by the Hammer. But it's like bullet point format. It's
what's it called? I haven't read that one.
Twilight of the Idols. It's a
Twilight of the Idols.
Really good book. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Nietzsche. I'm a big fan of any philosopher that like just has a different take on life, man. It's like
the Stoic philosophers meant a lot to me, like really impacted me. Nietzsche was very impactful to me. Buddhism has had a very big impact on me. Taoism, but specifically
I do it hold on, let me grab this book real quick.
Everybody's going, goodbye. For anybody listening, Chuang Tzu, a Taoist writer. Chuang Tzu is one of the Taoist.
What about the Art of War?
Sun Tzu. Yeah, for sure. Art of War. The Book of Five Rings was very good.
What about the 48 Rules of Power?
Never read it.
Oh man, that's a good one. You got to read him. That guy's awesome. He's I can't remember what's his name. But these are the ones that I like. The meditations of Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah, it's a good book.
And I just sometimes you just read it up, and I'll say, I'll just read the first quote I come to. Anger in the face is unnatural, or in the end is put out for good, so it can be rekindled. Try to conclude its unnaturalness from that, even if the consciousness of acting madly has gone. Why go on living? Interesting. Before long, nature, which controls it all, will alter everything you see and use it as material for something else over and over again, so that the world is continually renewed.
Yeah, it's weird. You reading these things out loud for some reason feels like Sunday school to me. I'm
a church too, so we're good, man.
Wait, I was like, wait, what? You mean your last name? Gotcha.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, and I wanted to talk about, you're coming here, so I wanted to show this here.
Hurry up, because I'm about to leave.
I know you are. We're gonna wrap it up, but plays away. Here's the one with Roger. What's his?
Says Wallace.
Wallace, that's right.
Nice.
So, yep, here it is. Renowned international dog trainer Jay Jack of Next Level Dogs.
It kills me when people do the hype, because I'm always like, come on, man. Like, renowned. Oh, stop it. Stop.
Renowned. This concept of using play-based training, teach the skill needed for social responsibility and personal play, all that stuff. And then I also wanted to get into, we'll have to do another one, man, because the GRC, what's going on with that.
Oh, yeah.
But I probably don't have time today.
GRC actually kind of turned a corner in the sense that it's taking on, like, for a long time, it was a product of me. Like, if I shut up, it would die. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like, it was me going, yeah, I have an idea. It's amazing. And everyone's like, all right, whatever. But like, if I hadn't put energy into it, if I stopped like pushing, it would have just stopped. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that anymore, dude. It's like, I could get hit by a bus and it'll go. It's good. It's all set up. It's its own unique entity. There's people that are involved in it. Like, I could fucking drop dead, and I don't think it would just end. I think it's actually found its own legs and is outgrowing me, which is amazing. In no way does that bug me. Like, that's awesome. My goal is for that to be an actual legitimate standalone sport and not me Do you know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't have anything to fuck. Like, nobody even knows who the fuck founded IGP. Do you know what I mean? Like, who started French Ring? I don't fucking know. You know what I mean? Like, I want it to be that. I don't want it to be J Jack's GRC. I don't want it to be like, oh, that's this guy and his idea. I want it to be a fucking sport and I want to meet somebody and have them try to talk me. And, hey man, have you ever heard of GRC? Oh yeah, I'm a fanatic. I've been doing it for years. It's great. You should do it. Let me tell you about it. I want to be like, fuck yeah, dude, awesome. That's fucking great for sure. That's awesome. You know,
Someday, man.
it's getting there. I mean, it's not quite at that level yet. But it's getting there, dude. It's like it has a lot less to do with I could remove input and it would continue. Like trials happen. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like
We got a club locally here.
Dude, I'll read the results of a trial and didn't even know that a trial was happening, which means there's that much shit going on. They registered the trial with the like with admin, which I didn't have anything to do with. They did the thing, had the results, turned in the results, like got their, points towards their titles. And I'm just like sitting here, like, I'm like watching it like a spectator, like, fuck yeah, it's so cool,
Like your little kid out there in the world growing up.
Like eventually they leave the house and they start doing their own crimes. You know what I mean?
That's right. But it's a good thing to have, man. And it's Gameness. What does it stand for? Gameness, readiness,
control,
and control.
Yeah.
So, all good stuff.
Basic idea was that, like, generally speaking, there's a couple types of dog sports. There's sports that are expression sports. They're drive expression sports, but they don't have much control. Dock diving, you know what I mean? Lure coursing,
right. Like fly ball, all that stuff. Like go and fucking. I call it actually the anti-obedience because you're just like fucking go. Like
it's expression and it's cool because it's a lot of crazy athletics, but it's neat to watch and it's fun to do and dogs love it. But it's not control. And then there's these control sports like rally and AKC obedience, and like they're heavy on obedience, but there's no expression. They're not the dogs never cut loose; they just control. And then there are sports that are both control and expression, but almost every single version of control and expression also bites people. And so, like PSA, French Ring, IPO, like all that IGP, whatever it is, like all that shit, it's like, it's a lot of amazing control and also a lot of letting the dog go and fully express itself. But it almost always has elements of biting the dude in the suit or the sleeve. And it's not that I'm opposed to that in any way. Like, I fucking watch it. I train aspects of that idea or apply those aspects of training to what I do. But like the games I grew up with were spring pole, wall climb, weight pull. You know what I mean? And I'm like, man, I wish that there was a version of those games that also required some control. Like when I watch those people healing past a decoy and then letting them express, that's amazing. So I want to heal my dog past the spring pole and then let him express. Instead of just letting him run it, I want to fucking out him and recall him away from it and send him back to it, shit like that. And everybody always tried to talk me into just, when are you going to do the real sports? And I'm like, man, I don't want to give up on mine. I want to do it this way. But it's like, you got to be the change you want to see in the world, So like, I didn't see anything that was the games I like done with control. So I just made a sport. It's like I saw a need for it and just went, that's what I'm going to do, and just made the sport. And first it was just me and the people that I trained, and then it turned into other people, and now it's kind of grown everywhere. So it's turned into its own thing, which is pretty sweet.
Well, and I like watching it at IACP, right? And then you saw the dogs that were heavy on the obedience and the dogs that were heavy on the expression, and like how where they fell short. And it's like an integration, and that's where I was like, holy shit, And it's just like and I was like, dude, my dog would fucking pop right back into a heel there, like, or something. Like I was like hypothetically walking my dog through that. Yeah. And the other thing that I saw that was very valuable about it is like decoys are fucking expensive, man. Not only are they expensive, but the bite suits are expensive. And just because you have a guy running around with the bite suit doesn't mean he's not going to fuck up your dog. So you also have to have that talent and skill that's present within a experienced decoy. Yeah. And that's a huge component to these PSA, IGP, shits into like, and so now we have a device that we literally don't need to rely on somebody else to train our dog. Decoys, they
Man,
get sick, they have
if
egos,
it's not quite the same thing. Obviously, a decoy is a much different. It's a much more expressive picture than a spring pole, and it's
and interactive and
yeah.
consequential. Like I run, that guy's gonna react to that,
But
right?
that said, if your dog is a nut for the toy, if your dog is like, oh my god, it's a spring pole, let me at it, and they look at a spring pole the way most dogs look at rabbits and shit. If you can, man, if you can send your dog to it and do a call off, they jump to bite it, and you call them off before they make contact. If you can heel past it, if you can out them at a distance and recall them off a bite, like that's pretty fucking high level training, even though it's not a decoy. That is still
It
something.
reminds me of the dude pulling the punch of the guy falling. Remember the MMA fighter, and he's the dude's falling, he pulls the punch,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like calling off a dog that's flying towards that. Like we have control of every little nuance of the situation that might look chaotic, but it's fucking full on.
You really work a spring pole to its fullest effect. Like you really work it. There's some scenarios that are like, fuck, you know what I mean? Your dog's healing you in a circle around it, a down in motion. You keep walking around to the other side. So now the toy is in between you and the dog, and you recall it past the toy. You know what I mean? Like recall it and drop it into a down directly under the toy. Like, dude, if you can do that, you can manage emergencies and you can navigate wonky shit. You can handle the kid on the bike that's mildly arousing. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
that looks like nonsense, pointless control work, but the truth is it builds the skill and relationship that lets you navigate tricky shit because you can work how to deal with and control competing motivators and listening to you in front of them. You know, that's a big deal.
It's a generalization process that helps proof the training into the real world and gives the dog a reference point of like, oh, okay, cool, this is what's up, you know. And so whenever we go into the human world with all these contraptions that people are writing or whatever that might invoke that fear response with these dogs, that they actually look at it as structure. They look at you, they look, okay, cool, this is what we're doing now. I'm going to go through the comments here, and then you guys, we got to go. So this will be the last time I run through the comments, but I'm sure Jay will be back on, and then I'll be down in Washington, or I'll be down seeing him in a couple weeks. So if anybody,
you can do one while you're down there if you want.
okay, cool, we absolutely will, absolutely, and where we can hug and kumbaya together. No, just so. Build up anticipation, frustration, instant feedback blocker. What's up? Bart's here. Bart Bellin. Nice. What's up, dude? Bart is one of my mentors, one of my Bart and Michael, and very thankful for them. Frustration builds anticipation. Yep. Ooh, yeah. Jay, you brought up this lady on Clubhouse who was getting at odds with everyone. Hey, Jay, can you read this real quick? I'm just making sure that you're just.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. With everyone and left on the Heel and Heal podcast episode, some great breakdown that depends on where the needle of perspective is from the person talking, another from a very different angle, right? And the only person that we can be 100% sure of our thoughts is us. You can't know what everybody else is thinking. Hell yeah, baby. Wobbly terms, absolutely. You know, there's so many wobbly terms out there, and anytime we're using a wobbly term, I'm like, wait a second, I'm saying this. I want to make sure that we're on the same page here. So now you're going deep down a difficult hole. Okay.
Somebody said, that's what she said. I mean, how do you not say
totally.
Oh, man.
A deep,
like
difficult hole. Interpretation is the killer of communication. Yes, absolutely. Flips the Monopoly board upside down is really frustrating. Have you ever read Over the Cliff by You Go Too Far?
That's a joke, Bill. Bill's like trying to figure it out.
Have you read?
Like, wait, what?
Dude, shut up. Thank you, Jay, for keeping me.
You're welcome.
For doing a little, let me see. Now repping JRC Dog Sports in UK, soon Ireland and Europe, worldwide, baby.
There's a bunch now going on in Scotland and England. Both are getting shows going now. It's
beautiful. Keep it up, you guys. This is something that's very valuable. I see how this is valuable, and especially with all those dog trainers. And I remember when it was like, dude, does anybody have a fucking flat collar here? Like, what the fuck is up with all these dogs wearing
Look, man,
training tools
the
their whole
first
life,
year,
you know?
first year I went to IACP, but I in no way do I think like I had some kind of impact on this. You know what I mean? Like I've been pushing, but like I don't know if it's parallel development or if it was a result of me being in the fucking everybody's face about toys.
Dude, I
But like
remember that shit, dude.
first year I showed up at the ICP, I'm like, does anybody have? I was talking to people about dogs. We're talking about play. I was like, yeah, grab me a toy and I'll play. Nobody, not a fucking soul. I was like, does anybody have a toy? And there's 30 dog trainers and we're looking at each other and I'm like, nobody has a toy. Dude, we rolled up hotel towels and used them as dog toys.
Yep.
Because nobody had a toy.
I
I didn't have
remember.
a dog, so I didn't have a fucking toy with me.
Dude, I have that on video too. Just so you know, on my Bow Wow Bill page, I videotaped that whole event.
And it's like shit. And then we'd be talking and they'd be like, well, I don't understand. And how do you use flat buckle collars in training? I'm like, well, look, I'll show you. Does anybody have a flat buckle collar?
Yeah, everybody had training collars.
Nobody, man. Everybody, dude, had their prong collars, star mark collars, electric collars, slip leads. Not a single one lady who had a service dog had a flat in her collar and was like, can we use this? I was like, sure. You know what I mean? But like
eye-opening, man.
After that, I mean, flats are still a little less used.
Dude, that was so eye-opening to me because look, man, it just shows you we're all professionals. This is what we do for a living. And if we're showing up together like this and we're like this, it's like, dude, we still have a ways to go, man. Like we're far from the finish. I don't ever think there's a finish line here, but we're far from whatever.
But like 3, 4, 5 years later, whatever it was, dude, like, man, you go to ICP now and you'll see a few people rocking flats around, which is cool. But like the real improvement is that people are playing with their dogs left and fucking right.
Amen.
So many people playing with their dogs now, which is huge. You know what I mean? Like, really cool.
Mid-secondary IGP with the spring pull. Cool. Channel those behaviors. How would you categorize agility, control, or expression, or a bit of both, Jay?
So originally I would have said all expression, but that's because I didn't understand or know anything about agility. And it was just like, my brain would do the dog running all over the place. That said, after working with some people who were trying to apply some concepts of what I do to agility, I realized there's more control in it than I realized. As far as like they've got to do the particular ones that you said when you said it, there's like a box they have to hit and wait for a second. And I know the start line is a big problem. I have a lot of agility people that work with me about keeping their dogs toggled out of drive before they go. So they're working on clarity at the start line, you know? So it has more control than I would have than I originally understood because I just didn't know it, right? So I think I would still probably classify that as a little more expressive than controlling, but definitely I would have said originally it was 100% express and 0 control. Now I realize it's like
70-30.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
You know,
well, yeah. and people don't realize like the nuances of that sport too. Like they're telling the dogs where to go using their feet. Like they'll point the feet towards obstacles and stuff like that, right? And so,
but I mean, like,
tricks.
For me, a lot of people have been. There's a one lady I can't remember where she was, but she did a SR. What'd she call it? It was like either SR agility or GRC version of agility or something. She was a throwback to our concepts.
Interesting.
And she was like, "Look, you know, she wants the dogs to be able to come out into the ring with the agility equipment and be chill, and not be like contextual and like turn them on." Get them to do some things, have some control, turn them off, let them chill around the equipment. So like, it's not this like batshit contextual.
Black and white, yeah. There's some gray there.
Emotional fluency around the drive objects, you know? So I think there's people that are out there doing agility with much more fluency and control in mind. But I think there's also a lot of people that are still just like, it's crazy. You know, the minimum amount of control they can get away with.
Yep, here we go. Rag work for real. We're on the last comments here. And then Christopher, very last comment, you guys. Thanks, you guys. Been very deep tonight. Need a psychiatrist.
And I'm telling you, I should start charging psychiatrists money. No bullshit. Like, no bullshit.
Oh, wait, we got one more comment. We compete in agility and agree that it involves both fast cat and the other hand. Molly is a totally expressive maniac.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kathy.
I think that there's like, I would say a certain percentage of my lessons, the Zoom lessons that I do with people, it starts with dogs. But quite honestly, I have many clients who we will have hour-long discussions and they have nothing to do with dogs. We're talking about, you know what I mean? Like personal shit and like
Yeah.
navigate
It,
emotional stuff,
it might not have to do with dogs right now, but just like in the Karate Kid, right? These are fundamental aspects of like wax on, wax off, and then pretty soon, once we start to have more conversations, you'll see how the contextualization of that of how we start putting all this stuff together. And even though we're not talking about dogs, we can absolutely extrapolate it to the relationship that we have with these animals.
You think like somebody's like, okay, I'm training and I get stuck on an idea and I got to learn how to let go of that idea and fluently switch to a new idea in the training session. That's a very specific dog related thing. But man, when you get down to it, you're like, listen, you need to be able to handle intrusive, repetitive thoughts because you keep getting stuck on this idea. You need to be able to make a non-emotional decision about a tactical thing that you need to do, let go of this idea that you were stuck on. But that's like, yeah, that's dog training. But like, then they're like, how the fuck do you do that? And you're like, okay, listen, we can talk about that. But man, if you go down that road, like those same skills, letting go of that intrusive idea, making a judgment based on tactics and not emotion, like that starts to get into how do you handle motherfuckers at Thanksgiving dinner? That starts to get into, do you have that conversation with the boss that you've been needing to have, but you keep avoiding because you're emotional, or you keep getting in this argument that you don't mean to get in because as soon as they start, you immediately go down this rabbit hole. And it's like the skill that you started developing purely to become a better dog trainer carries over. This is the last thing I'll say, but it's like when I first learned about emotional control, it was trying to be a better fighter. Like I wanted to be good at fighting, and mostly I wanted to be good at fighting because I wanted to fuck people up because I was an angry little kid and hated the world and wanted to smash everything with efficiency. And so I was good at fighting and I wanted to do it. And at that point, fighting was like, blah, it was an express, right?
Mm-hmm.
It made me bad at fighting because I'd get hit and I would get super emotional and I'd start making dumb decisions and I would like get out of breath because I'd blow out too soon because I'm very angry and like I wouldn't see patterns and traps that I was falling into because I was so angry and so frustrated and so mad.
Blind rage, literally blind rage.
A big part of becoming a skillful fighter is learning to control your emotions and not get pulled down these pathways of getting like sucked into a disappointment, anger, fear, frustration. Like you really have to become very emotionally controlled in order to fight well. And so what I started doing in the ring, like don't get like, just breathe it out, let it go,
Maintain.
be on point, focus, don't get sucked into it. Accidentally translated to at the red light when the dude starts doing this at the red light instead of going like this at the red light. The same skills of don't get sucked into it in the ring, don't get sucked into it at the red light. The same thing of trying to have a difficult conversation with a person I'm in a relationship with. Don't get sucked into this. Don't get pulled into that version of the fight. Like be cool, stay calm. And it's like, it started with control your emotions so I could fuck shit up better. But it bleeds into like that becomes how I work dogs, how I have relationships, how I do sports, how I do anything, So it's like a lot of the conversations I get in with clients about dogs, eventually they see this idea of applying those skills, not just to their dogs and their dog training, but also their life, which to me is pretty cool. But it's like, I would say probably fucking half of what I do is therapist.
Well, but it's also because you've walked the walk and you see the value of it and you've applied it to your own life, right? And it's like we get these dogs, same thing, man, from a reactionary mindset to a responsive mindset. I don't want you to react, dude. I want you to think of how you're going to respond to me. And Viktor Frankl, one of my favorite, he has The Man's Search for Meaning. One of my favorite books, and it's very dark because he talks about the Holocaust and his experiences with it, but he comes out of that and it's like it's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it. And his quote is between stimulus and response there's a gap. And in that gap lies a space. And in that space is our choice of how we want to respond. And in that choice is your freedom.
Oh yeah.
And then that's our job as dog trainers, is to get this dog to not react, to widen that gap so the dog starts to think. And so once the stimulus happens, the dog realizes, oh, this is how I need to respond. And then that's how we build that relationship. And so same thing with you. Once you start to learn and get the tools that get you to respond instead of react, then you're going to, be able to apply that and get value of it for the rest of your life. And it's not just about dogs. And if you guys like what I'm doing, I'm posted up patreon.com/bowwowbills. Support me on Patreon. I want to start making more of this content where I have a camera crew go on live, on scene. Would love to come to your dojo, dude. I'd love to come and see what you're all about. And
we don't
out.
Just so you know.
What do you call it?
It's just a gym, dude.
I call it dojo.
Yeah, bro. We don't bow and shit. Like, it's cool.
I'm gonna bow.
It's not contrived respect.
So do you book counseling sessions? People want to know how do people book a session with you? Not
Dude,
just counseling, but
like, no bullshit. Like, if you want to book a time slot to talk to me, like, nextleveldogs@gmail.com.
Say that again. I was coughing. What is it?
nextleveldogs@gmail.com, and book an appointment in person or online or whatever. It's fine. And like I said, man, like, in jiu-jitsu and dogs, like, we can do jiu-jitsu online, like we can do dogs online, we can talk life. I don't give a shit. Probably half of the people I talk to when it's a jiu-jitsu lesson, it's about life, and about half the shit I talk about with dogs eventually translates to life lessons, so, like, man, we can talk straight dog stuff too. If you want to talk about reinforcement placement, you know what I mean? The difference between differential reinforcement of alternative and differential reinforcement of incompatible. Like, we can talk about technical dog training and just go straight dog training if you want, but we can also talk about, about shit if you want. I get a lot of people that we just do therapy sessions. I mean, I can't call it that because I'm not a therapist, but
you're a soul therapist, dude. That's what you call it.
Life coach.
Life coach.
World's most aggressive life coach.
There you go. They say that they miss your chats with Chad Mack, and I do too. You had a wonderful time. So if you ever
we've been talking about doing stuff like that on what the fuck is the thing we were just talking about?
Patreon.
No, the thing on the phone, the thing that I keep getting off
Clubhouse.
Yeah, Clubhouse. We've been talking about doing that, like, so we can, because we still, like, we'll have our conversations, but instead of recording them, just be like, let's have those conversations and let people actually be a part of them.
Well, they allow recordings on Clubhouse now.
Yeah, we've been talking about doing some shit like that, because I miss those conversations as well.
Well, you guys, I'd have the dog room, the dog house on Clubhouse too. So if you guys just type in dog, D-O-G, that's the room that I open up a lot. And I've been doing it. I try to get on there at least once a week and check in and have some conversations. So awesome, Jay, dude. Go have fun, man. And it's been 2 hours, bro. But thank you for your time. And I'll see you in a couple weeks. And if you guys want to get a hold of Jay, nextleveldogs@gmail, I put up a link down below in the comments. And then, Jay, if you hold on real quick, I'm going to say goodbye to you in the studio. But let's say goodbye to everybody right now. Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Good night.